Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodesh. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect who are the house of David, reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharala, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the first death, which the Bible refers to Noah's flood. Right? And you can read about it in the Bible in Genesis from 5 to basically all the way up to 9. It talks about this reset of humanity. You see, there's a big misconception with the flood of Noah. Right? Everybody believes that, not everybody, but the majority of the world believes that the flood of Noah is a myth. But what I'm going to show in just a little bit is that there's historic evidence that actually backs up the flood of Noah. But before we get into that, let's read this. This is Matthew 24:37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, there were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. So, the reason why I'm getting into this is because we're living in those end times. If you're unaware, if you just stumbled upon this video, the Bible is true, okay? And it's not what you believe it is, or what these churches in the world tell you it is. The Bible has nothing to do with organized religion, right? Organized religion was created to draw you away from the truth of the Bible. The truth of the Bible, for the most part, being that the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the people written about in the Bible, right? They are the chosen people, right? We are the Hebrew Israelites, right? We descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob being renamed to Israel, and we come from his 12 sons who created, or who are the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel, who again today would be known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? And anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline. Okay, so you're gonna have Israelites looking like every nation of the world, but primarily it's gonna be the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. And again, ultimately, it all depends upon your father's lineage in accordance to Numbers 1 and 18. But I don't want to digress. Like I said, we are living in these end time period, right? And we are soon to see the coming of the Son of Man, right? For his second coming. And that prophecy that I just read in Matthews confirms it, right? Because when you read Genesis, it tells you that all flesh has corrupted itself, and that the world was basically upside down, right? Now, when you get into the Bible timeline, and sorry, I cannot give you a copy of this Bible timeline. The Bible timeline is not one of my works that I give out. It is more of a personal notes for me, right? I'm a visual learner, so I create my notes visually, and I like to have things organized. Now, one day I may release this, but that's going to be when everything's all polished and accurate as far as I can do it. But there's still some things in here which are unfinished and are ambiguous, and I'd rather not release it. So again, don't ask, because I can't give it out. That being said, the Noah's flood, right? Historic archaeological evidence shows that this took place around 2098 BC, right? So close to about 3,000, I'm sorry, 4,029 years, or 40 years ago, right? Over 4,000 years ago, okay? So this is where Noah's flood happened, okay? All right here. And we currently are right here. Just so that way you get an idea, we are right here. Well, all right, we're just coming out of the wonders on the earth that the Lord is pushing out, the volcanoes, the earthquakes, the destructions, all that type of stuff, right? You're now here watching these lessons, learning, right? And we're about to go into the money collapse. We're about to bring forward that digital dollar, and then pretty soon it's going to be race wars, riots, right? And then Jacob's trouble, and then the New World Order, the Mark of the Beast, World War III, Armageddon, and then the return of the Son of Man, right? And then from that point on, we're going to see the elect, the 1/3, be, brought up into salvation, brought up into these chariots, which shall come and destroy the world. Now, again, so that's the timeline, right? And that shows you what when the great flood of Noah took place, right? Science calls it meltwater pulse B, if you want to actually look into the historic records of it, right? But again, you don't need that, because again, when you get into historic records, every nation pretty much has a flood recollection, right? A flood story, because all of them come from the same 3 sons who survived the flood, right? The sons of Noah. Okay, so for example, Elam has the ancient story of Manu, which is basically another name for Noah, right? And the Greeks, right? Deucalion and Phaera, right? That's their flood myth, which is basically Noah's flood, right? Let's see, Sumer or Ashur, biblically known, they have the Epic of Gilgamesh, another flood, myth. Same thing. This is all the flood of Noah, right? The Aborigines of Australia, they have a flood myth as well. And then you have the Aztecs, who are the Issacharites of the tribe of Israel. We also, we all have similar story, because we are all coming from those 3 sons who survived this. Okay, so you can see here in the Euphrates, you can see how these records here, they talk about how from the flood patterns and stuff, from where the river is now to where it was before, what caused those great floods. Let's see, and like I was saying, right, here's all the different nations, right? Persia, Syria, Asia Minor, Greece, Egypt, Italy, Lithuania, Russia, China, India, Canada, Cherokee, tribe of Gad, Papagodia, or basically Issachar, Asher, Peru, and Fiji Islands, Hawaii. See, all of these people all have a recollection of the flood, right? And like I said, the reason I brought this out, sorry for digressing, is because we're living in this age and days. This is why everything today is so wicked, right? The culture, the economy, the food system, the environment, the leadership, right? Even sports, right? Sports isn't, even though it may be entertaining, it's not, for your pastime. It's being used as a weapon against you to distract you from what's really going on, right? Everything, education for our children, right? Dog, pet food, right? The whole pet industry, right? The animal empire, world. Everything in this world is corrupt, right? Because we have reached the end of this aeon, right? This age, right? And as the angel told Ezra in second Ezra's, right, when wickedness has grown up, we are now at that time, right? And because of that, it's now as the same time as it was in the time of Noah, where people were oblivious to what was really going on, thinking that this is just the normal everyday, trial. But the truth is that in all of its, just like the pre-deluge world where it was mired in wickedness, the modern day world, the world run by these Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, which is what what you would call today the biblical Edomites, right? That's what they go by today. White people, Caucasian, they have this world, run and managed in wickedness, right? And today's world is an example of what happens when you let wickedness devour the earth, right? The world is in pure darkness, and that's because us Israelites, us Negro, Latino, Native Americans, we are in a captivity, right, under these devils. But let's go and read this here, just so you get an idea of what happened back then, right? Because again, remember, the world is exactly how it was in the time of Noah, where people were modifying their body, right? All flesh had corrupted itself. People now, they're modifying their genome by taking the to at-home DNA modification kits, right? There are real life chimeras in the world today, right? Human, animal food combinations, people, animal combinations. It's too much, people, right? But let's read this. This is Genesis 7:21. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both the fowl, birds, and of cattle, and of beasts, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died. Of all that was in the dry land, died. Okay? Just like we tell people, you preparing, with a bug out bag or shelter or food, weapons, that is not going to save you, right? It will help you, but it won't save you, because if the Lord isn't with you, if you are not chosen, if you are not seeking the Lord and his salvation and how to obtain it, you can do all that, but if you're missing the spiritual aspect of it, of this life, right, the goal of this life, which is to praise the Lord and to basically please him, then you miss the mark, right? And you will die just like these people died, right, when the flood came. Continuing, verse 23. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and creeping things, and the fowls of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days, right? And there you go. And they that were with him in the ark, and the waters prevailed, right? So you see, only the people who are going to be selected to be saved by the Lord, right? In this case, in the first death, which was the flood, only those who were on the ark, which Noah created, which was commanded by the Lord, were saved, right? And that's how the second coming is going to be. You see, because there is clear instructions on how to become saved, how to, first and foremost, you have to be part of the elect, and the Lord has to choose you. And Lord willing, that's us, right? But as we've all said, man, if it's not us, then who is it, right? But again, I say that humbly, right? And this is why we got to, do this work, in sincerity and in truth, not try to make money from it, not try to, do it maliciously. We got to do it to edify everybody else, to wake everybody else up, right? Now, because in doing so, you show your faith by your works, right? Because again, you could say you're a Dodgers fan, you could say you're a you're a fan of a certain team, right? And you could say you go to all the games and everything, but if you don't have any, t-shirts or hats or any memorabilia or a jacket, or you go to any of the games, right? If you don't do anything that a fan of the Dodgers would do, then how can you show, what works do you have to show that you're actually a Dodger fan, right? And it's the same thing, right? If you truly believe in this truth, then you're going to do the work. You're going to want to do things to wake people up, to spread the gospel, right? And that's what it means, right? To do the works, right? But ultimately, we're saved by grace, right? And that's because we understand that Yahweh Shai came in the flesh, gave up his body as a sacrifice for us to be returned to the Lord, right? Now, only those, the elect, which is going to be 1 out of every 3 legal Latino Native Americans, and anybody whose lineage goes back to that bloodline, will make it to salvation, because 2/3 of our people are going to be rejected or just won't wake up because they don't have time for this truth, right? And they're ultimately, what does it say? And it's going to be like this: of all that was in the dry land died, right? That's going to be the 2/3, and the rest of those in the world who are in the areas where the Lord's going to destroy the nation of Edom, right? America, the whore, described in Babel in the book of Revelation, and the NATO, which is the beast, also described in the book of Revelation, right? The Western power, right? Hegemony, right? The Caucasian Empire, right? The nation of Edom, is what's going to be destroyed. Now, anybody else, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be tied on to the system, who hasn't disconnected, who are going to be part of the military, part of, the American dream, a part of the European dream, right? And they're going to be destroyed, right? And it's all going to happen because of World War III and all the will of the Lord. Now, the Bible also has this small foreshadowing, which can be found in Numbers, which describes the cleansing process that the Lord commanded to be done to items, right? Which is similar to how he is cleansing humanity, right? And also the bloodline of Adam, right? Because you see, to cleanse something spiritually, it has to be cleansed, right? In this case, let's go and read it. Numbers 31 and 23. Everything that may abide the fire, ye shall make it go through the fire, and it shall be clean. Nevertheless, it shall be purified with the water of separation. And all that abideth not the fire, ye shall make go through the water. Right? Now, this ultimately was a commandment given by Moses, which was given to him by the Lord, on how to cleanse the items which were booties, which were the spoils of war, I guess you could say, that we took, right, when we conquered the nations that were there in our land of Israel, right, in Canaan. Now, we had taken all these spoils of war, but we had to cleanse them, and the Lord commanded us to clean it first with water, and whatever could withstand the fire, you would cleanse it with fire, right? And it goes on and it tells you, right? It tells you that, it says, let's read 22, it says, only the gold and silver and brass, the iron and the tin and the lead, right? And they're talking about that these are the things that could go through the fire, right? But not things like things of goats' work and all that type of stuff, right? Things that will get burnt up with the fire, that can only be cleansed by the water, right? And that's going to be the same thing when you get down to the bloodline of Adam, when it's been filtered down to the bloodline of David, right? Because again, King David is basically from the lineage of Adam, right? The chosen seed. And when you get down to the Messiah, Yahweh Shai, which is the true Hebrew name of so-called Jesus Christ, he is the bloodline. He comes from the bloodline of King David, right? And again, remember, all the 12 tribes of Israel come from the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Which is, again, the bloodline, the purified bloodline of Adam, right? We are the chosen people because the Lord chose us according to Deuteronomy 7:6. Okay? Now, just like the Lord commanded us to cleanse things with water and fire, the Lord is doing the same thing, right? The water cleansing was the first death, the flood of Noah. And the fire cleansing is going to be Armageddon, right? The second death, which is what the Bible refers to, the lake of fire, the thermonuclear Holocaust war that's going to break out, right? That's going to destroy the American system, destroy the NATO system, and the Edomite Empire, right? So let's go and read this. This is Zechariah 13:8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and I will try them as gold is tried. And they shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is my power. Okay? So you see the comparisons. So not only was that cleansing, first with water and fire, a rightful thing to do with items, but also it's a rightful thing to do with humanity. Okay? And again, when you look at what's going on in the world today, man, from all the wickedness that is surrounding us, right? This place needs to be cleansed, right? It needs to be cleansed by that fire, right? Because all that cannot abide the fire will be destroyed. And how is the Lord going to save the 1/3 of Israel? Again, being the 1 out of every 3 Negro, Latino, Native Americans. How is he going to save us? Well, you just seen it in the Bible timeline. It's going to be done through the chariots of the Lord, right? Which the world ignorantly calls UFOs, right? Those who are going to be saved shall be taken up into the heavens, into these chariots, into these crafts, and watch the destruction of the world, right? The westernized world and stuff. And basically after that, that's when heaven upon earth shall begin, right? So I just want to get into this, Akim. I thought it was a good topic to go into today. Hopefully you find it edifying. So till the next time, I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.